Hey there, I'm Mark Peterson and welcome to Ecom Blueprint. Now this will be an in-depth tutorial on how to set up a Shopify store, where to source products from, how to import those products to your store, and lots more good stuff. So if you're a beginner out there and you're brand new to Shopify, I recommend pausing this video now so you have time to grab a notebook and pen, and that way you can take notes throughout this tutorial. So we'll get straight into it now, guys. So as you can see on my screen, we have just created a Shopify account. Now we're currently on the 14-day free trial. You can see on the top right, we've called our store Cheeky Homewares. So this store is going to be a homewares niche. Now you can pick a general store or a niche store, whatever suits you, and essentially it's whatever you want to sell. Now we'll work our way down the menu. So we're currently on the home menu. So this is where your sales data will normally display, as well as the amount of visitors you've had throughout the day. And generally you have a little dashboard section on the right. Currently we have no data as our store's brand new, but you can see there's also some helpful articles here and blogs for like e-commerce, how to start and all that. So it's really basic. We haven't added anything yet, and this is exactly what yours should look like when you start. So working our way down, we'll click on the Orders tab. Now this is generally where your orders will display. So when you get a customer and they purchase off your website, you'll see their name, their address, and it'll be like a big list along here. So you can click into it and see all the little details. You can see drafts here, and this is where you can create a draft order. We're not really going to get into that right now, as you shouldn't really need to worry too much about that section. And then we have abandoned checkouts. Now, when a customer buys off your website and they leave your checkout halfway through the process so they don't end up purchasing, what that will trigger is an abandoned checkout. So here you'll see a list of names of people who were in your checkout and they ended up leaving and didn't end up purchasing. What you can do is actually send out emails to these customers to recover the checkout. Obviously, it's a brand new store, so we have no abandoned checkouts, so we'll move on. So here we have products. Now we'll get into that really shortly, and I'll show you how to manually add products, as well as importing products using Oberlo. We have transfers here. That's just if you wanted to manage your inventory transfers and stuff. If you're drop shipping, you shouldn't really need to worry about this part too much. We have our inventory where you can manage our inventory. Again, with what I'll be teaching you in this lesson will be drop shipping. So we'll be using an app called Oberlo. We'll get into that very shortly, but that actually manages your inventory for you. Here we have our collections. So currently the only collection we do have is the home page. So I'll get into that really shortly as well, how we're going to create collections when we're importing our products. Working our way down, we have gift cards. Now, gift cards are for if you're on a larger plan. Generally with the basic plan, as you can see, it doesn't support gift cards. But gift cards are great because you can get customers who purchase gifts for friends, as well as you can use them to your advantage when it comes to either customer disputes or complaints. It can really help if you offer them a gift card or a store credit to alleviate their complaints as such. So customers, all right, this is where you generally see your customers who have purchased off your store. So we currently obviously have no customers, so we'll just skip that part. Analytics. Now this is a very helpful tool. So currently on our screen you can see we have the analytics dashboard. This is where it'll display your total sales, your online store visits, and you can see your repeat customer rate. You can see your conversion rate, average order value, and lots of data that can really help you later on when it comes to marketing. You can see at the top, you can select certain date ranges as well. Currently, obviously, we have no data, so everything's a bit blank, so to speak. This is where you have your reports. So same, you can use this information to your advantage when it comes to your marketing and looking at your sales by product. You can look at the products that sell the most and maybe use them more as the lead product, as well as your sales over time, your sales by discounts, traffic referrer, billing by country, all sorts of information, guys. You can see your visits over time. You can see visits by referrers, by location. So you can see that the reports part of Shopify goes really, really in depth. And this is something that retail stores don't have. It's one of the big advantages of e-commerce, where we can use a lot of this information to our advantage. You can see here, working our way down, that we have Live View. This is a fairly new feature that Shopify has integrated not long ago. You can see your visitors live. And what it will do is it will light up little orange bits when they're purchased from. So you can see here, we have that little sale bit. So when someone, say for example, they purchase here in Australia, that will actually light up as a sale. And you can watch your sales and visitors live as they're happening. It's a really cool feature. Generally, you won't have, I suppose, much time or to just be sitting there watching it, but I don't know, maybe you will. But all right, here we have our discounts. Now this is where we can actually create discount codes to give to our customers, or using pop-ups to help collect emails. Currently there's no discounts, but it's pretty follow the bouncing ball, and we'll get more into that later on. Now we have apps. So we'll have a look at the App Store very shortly, but if you think about it, Shopify is almost like a phone in a way. Like, you can get all these apps for it that really help out with your store. So we'll get into that really, really shortly, but we'll just keep continuing on. So we have our online store. Now currently you can see a little section of our store. Now we have no, we haven't done anything to the settings yet. So this is where you go to customize your store. We'll get into that really, really shortly, but we're gonna work our way down and get into the settings first. So we can see here that we have blog posts. Now this is where you can create a blog. Blogs are great for bringing in traffic, especially if you index them to Google. You can bring in a lot of organic traffic that way. Maybe you want a blog page at the bottom of your website. They're great for sending out in emails and bringing customers in, and you'll often find that by sending out a blog, you'll also get some sales. So you can use them to upsell products as well. Now, working our way down, we have pages. We'll get more into this really shortly, but this is where we create our refunds policy, our frequently asked question pages and stuff like that generally go in the footer. So we'll do that once we get into the designing part of our store. Here we have our navigation. So this is where you create your menus. Now generally you'll have your top menu and your footer menu, and you choose what goes in them, and that includes your collections or any pages. So we'll also get into that really, really shortly once we start setting up our online store. Here we have our domains. So once you start your store, you generally need to buy a domain for it. A domain is essentially your website, so people can visit and shop on your website. So we can see here that there's no domain hooked up. What you can do is you can buy your domain directly through Shopify here. Otherwise, there's lots of other websites such as GoDaddy where you can purchase domains quite cheap as well. Here we have our preferences. So just going through here, we can see the title and meta description. Now, generally when you share your link to your website, this is what will be in the main meta description of it. So what you could do here is you might want your homepage title. So we'll just say, for example, Cheeky Homewares. And we might just say something like, we sell awesome products for your house. Now obviously guys, put a bit more effort into that, but there's just a quick tutorial. So you can see here guys, you have your Google Analytics. So this is generally where you put your code from Google Analytics. That way you can track on your Google Analytics all your visitors and your customers and stuff like that. So it's really, really helpful, and make sure you set up your Google Analytics account and you paste your code in there so you can track your data from your website. Now this is where you put in your Facebook pixel. We'll get into that in another video later on, but when people visit your website, essentially your pixel tracks everything. So you'll need to have that implemented into your website, especially when it comes to advertising. So that's just where you post your Facebook pixel. Now, as we can see here, guys, there's a password currently on the page. Now, as this is a brand new website, we have nothing on it. It's actually password protected. So if you actually typed in the URL to get on this website, it will take you to a landing page that requires you to enter a password to get in. Now, once you actually launch your store and it's good to go, this is something that you're going to want to disable, essentially, so people can actually visit your store without needing that password. But we'll just leave that on for now. All right, working our way down to the settings. All right, here, guys, we'll start with the general settings. So starting from the top left, we have our store details here. So this is where you generally, you can choose your store name and stuff. And you have your address and your standards and formats. So this is where you can pick your time zone. You can choose whether you want the imperial system or the metric system, kilograms or grams, and all that stuff. So clicking back on settings now. Just in the taxes. So this is where you can set up your taxes, charge taxes on shipping rates and stuff. Generally, if it's a brand new store, especially in Australia, you don't really need to charge taxes till you make around $75,000. So with taxes, guys, check your own country's laws and make sure you're up to date with everything so you know whether you need to charge taxes or not. Here we have our account settings. So this is generally where you can add staff accounts. So you can have staff with their own logins to help manage your stuff. So clicking on payment providers now, this is where you put in your payment details so that Shopify can pay you and you can take card payments off your customers. I highly recommend creating a PayPal account and setting up your PayPal in here. So it's pretty easy, guys, pretty follow the bouncing ball, but PayPal is a must-have for your website. Otherwise, you're leaving a lot of money on the table getting rid of really trusted payment gateways such as PayPal. You can also set up alternative payments here. So you can set up, as you can see, BitPay, FuturePay, Alipay, and a lot of other payment providers here. So that's if you did want to accept cryptocurrency, for example, you'd select BitPay, and it should essentially guide you through how to set that up. You can also do manual payments. This is something I wouldn't really recommend. Manual payments with bank deposits, generally you have to chase up yourself and acquire the payment before you actually can process the order. So I generally would leave manual payments off. It's completely up to you, but PayPal is kind of a must-have, and Shopify payments as well. Now, the higher plans you go, if you do go on a more expensive Shopify plan, it will lower the percentage rate of the fees that Shopify payments do deduct from each order. So just clicking on the notifications, guys, here, this is where you can customize a lot of your notifications. So if we click customize here, what we can do is, as you can see here, it's got the little display of what it would look like when a customer purchases off your website. So it will automatically send them this email, thank you for your purchase. Now what you can do here, guys, is you can actually change that button color to whatever you like. So for example, if you wanted to make it orange, you can make it orange. That way it matches the button colors of your actual store and everything is uniform. Now you can go through and check out all your other ones. So we have our orders being cancelled email, and you can just look at them. You can add your logo in there, that way it has your logo. I'd highly recommend putting your logo in these emails, which can really help with your branding. Now just going over to our billing settings here, this is where you can add your credit card. This is so Shopify can actually take the payments off you. You can view your account summary there, which will show you how much you've been charged over time. Now clicking on our checkout settings. Now this is where you can go through and adjust your checkout. Now generally, unless you had some kind of login or subscription-based plan, you'd have accounts disabled selected. Now, working our way down, you have your primary contact method. So you can have them either contact you via your phone and email, or you can check out just using email. So generally, we'll have the phone as optional, so we'd have that selected. You can also choose additional contact methods there. We're just going to leave that unticked for now. So full name, we want at least a last name. Company, generally we want that hidden. So this is what these settings are for, is for your checkout settings. So when your customer's going through your checkout, what they'll see. You generally don't want a company section there unless you are selling to larger organizations, because the more boxes and options you have, the more stuff, it lengthens the funnel of your checkout. So generally we want it nice and short and sweet. So we're going to leave company hidden. Address line 2, we want to leave as optional. Shipping address phone number, we'll just put that as hidden. So we just want to use that shipping address and billing address as default. They can change this themselves if the billing address is different to the shipping address. And enable address auto completion. So what that means, guys, is when they start typing in their address, it'll use the Google Analytics to actually, or the Google API to bring up a selection of recommendations for their address, if that makes sense. So it'll give them a lot of options essentially to say, is this your address? That way your customer can click on their address without having to type it out in full. It can really, really help with increasing your conversion rate. Ask for permission to send promotional emails to your customers. Now, as you can see here, by default, customer doesn't agree to receive promotional emails. Now, you need to check the laws with your country. I believe now in Europe, you can't legally actually have that box pre-ticked. In Australia, and I believe in the US, it's completely fine. So what we want to do is we want to tick, by default, customer agrees to receive promotional emails. Now, in your checkout, there'll be like a little tick box that says sign up to newsletters or something along those lines. Now, we want that ticked. That way, it will actually collect your customers' emails, and you can use them later on for retargeting. So we're just going to save that there, guys. Go back into settings. And we'll just click on files. So files are generally just the images you've uploaded to your website. So just clicking onto the shipping settings now, guys, and we can see that we have two sections. We have domestic and rest of world. So we're just going to click here and edit our domestic shipping settings. All right, you can see we currently have two weights. We have standard shipping and heavy goods shipping. At the top, we can see the title is domestic, so we'll just leave that as is. But we can see the range for the weight-based rates is of 0 to 5 kilograms. So we're just going to edit that, and we're going to reduce that a bit. So we'll leave it as 0 to 2.9. Now, what we'll do is we'll leave that rate as $5 and leave the name as standard shipping. So we'll just click done then, and we'll just go add rate. And this one, we're going to go 3 to 5.9 kilograms. We'll call this one standard shipping as well. And we're going to make the price for this one $9. All right, and then you see we have our heavy goods, so we'll adjust that and we'll go 6 to 20 kilograms. All right, so you can essentially add as many weights as you want. The thing with Oberlo is when Oberlo, which I'll talk more about that later on once we get into Oberlo, but when it imports products, the weights are always 0 as a standard. So if you're drop shipping using an app like Oberlo, it will always use that minimum kind of weight there. Now, if you are manually entering products or you want to charge more shipping for a particular product, when you're uploading the product, which we'll get into shortly as well, in the shipping settings, the weight settings of that product, you can actually put a weight in there. So that way, when your customer adds that item to their cart, it will trigger these weight-based rates here. Now, the way it works is if they say, for example, the weight was 2 kilograms, if they add something that's 2 kilograms by itself, nothing else, it will fall within that first rate. Now, if they add two things that are two items that are both 2 kilograms, that'll accumulate the shipping rate and bump it up to that next rate there, if that makes sense. So it will move up to, obviously 2 plus 2 is 4, so it'll move up to the 3 kilogram to 5.9 kilogram shipping rate. And in the checkout, it will charge them $9 instead. So you can actually break this down to as many as you'd like. We're just going to leave it simple for now and just have it as that. And obviously you have your heavy goods shipping there, but all the weights and stuff are actually on the product page or when you're uploading it in the back end itself. So we're going to save that. We'll just go back now and we'll just do the same for our rest of world kind of base rates. So we have international shipping. So what we want to do, actually before we get into that, I'll show you how to do a free plus shipping rate as well. So we have our weight-based rates, and what we can also do is price-based rates. So we go add rate there, and we'll call this one free shipping. Now, if you wanted free shipping for orders over $99, for example, you would do minimum order price, $99, and click free shipping rate. So we've called that free shipping, and it won't charge them anything. So if your customers order, have an order value of $99 or more, it will actually trigger free shipping at the checkout. So this is a great little tactic to use an announcement bar or something of the sorts to help increase your average order value using the free shipping as a kind of appetizer to do so. Now we'll just click done there and we'll save that. So we've got our free shipping rate and our normal based rates there. So essentially we would do exactly the same on our international shipping, but we might want to charge more. For example, you can see here with Oberlo and drop shipping off websites like Aliexpress, which we'll get into shortly, it's generally free shipping or really, really cheap shipping, no matter where in the world you're shipping to. So, we don't really want to charge upwards of $20 for our international shipping. So what we're going to do there is we're just going to call that standard shipping and make the weight 2.9 again, and put it to $5. We'll add a rate, standard shipping, 3 to, what was the other one? I think 5.9. Make that $9. Add a rate. We'll go 6 kilograms to 20. We'll call that heavy goods shipping. We'll make that $20. So you can see, guys, it just adds up as it goes along. So generally, people won't, you won't have any items, especially if you're drop shipping, that you would, manually put in the weight as upwards of $20. We can also add the price-based weights here too. So we can also include a free shipping weight. Minimum order price, $99. We'll click free shipping. And there we go. It's as easy as that, guys. And that's our shipping setup. Make sure you do set that up before you move on to anything else. So if you kind of go through this video in the order that we're going in, it's essentially you should be able to do everything in the right way. So we have a sample box there. Generally, you can leave that. And we'll just go back into our settings now. So that's the shipping settings, guys. And then we have sales channels. So this is where you can manage your sales channels. Currently, we have online store. So a sales channel is generally if you wanted to sell on other places, you could add, for example, Facebook or Pinterest and have third-party sales channels that your customers can purchase your items through. So for now, we'll just leave it as online store, but I would recommend once you do have a Facebook page, actually hooking a Facebook sales channel up. That way you can tag your products and run ads with your products tagged in your ads, which you most likely would have seen off other websites. All right, so that's just going through the settings, guys. I really hope that was really easy to follow. And now what we'll talk about is where to source your products from. So the main website I like to use is Aliexpress. So Aliexpress, if you've never seen it before, it's like an eBay on steroids, or like, it's a general store on steroids. You can get anything you want from here, or almost anything. And it's got lots of niches, so you can also use it to your advantage if you're trying to either pick your niche. So we can see here it's got lots of categories. It has women's clothing, which is broken down into sub menus, and we can look at women's clothing, dresses, hoodies, sweatshirts, wedding events, outwear jackets. We have men's clothing, phones and accessories, computer and office, consumer electronics, jewelry and watches, home and garden, bags and shoes, yada yada yada. It goes on for ages. You can get almost anything you can think of off AliExpress. And the prices on this website are dirt cheap. So here we have, for example, some gel polish or whatever that is. Also, we've got some sunglasses for $5.61, where you generally go to the store and sunglasses would be a lot more expensive. So this is your main kind of thing I recommend drop shipping off. The advantages to AliExpress is that you can import, or you can sync it directly to Oberlo, which is an app I'll get into very shortly too. All right. Next, we have Amazon. So you can drop ship off Amazon. However, they are cracking down on it now, and if they do notice you selling or buying the same product numerous amounts of times off a particular supplier, they'll generally block your account. So Amazon, you can drop ship off it, just it's a bit harder to do with in larger volumes. And then obviously you have eBay. So you can drop ship off eBay too. Essentially, it's got the same stuff as AliExpress. So, the one I'd go to and recommend, especially for what I'll be teaching you here, is AliExpress itself. So, and the reason I say AliExpress is because of this little tool. So this is Oberlo, guys. So what I've done is I've created a brand new Oberlo account. Now, Oberlo, what it does is it imports products from AliExpress and helps fulfill your orders. So it's almost like really, really automated. When you get an order through your store, you go into Oberlo, you click into this little orders part here, and that order from the items they purchased off your website, if they were AliExpress items, would come up here. And then you generally see a little orange button where you can order those products. And what it will do is it'll accumulate all those products from the different suppliers off AliExpress, and then you simply pay for it, and it'll send that information over to those suppliers, and they'll get it ready for you and ship it. So it's really, really awesome. So you can see here, you have your dashboard. So this will generally show you how your sales are tracking and stuff. Obviously, just like Shopify, we have no data at the moment. You have this Oberlo section here where you can look at your products and what this is called Oberlo Supply. So Oberlo Supply, it's like the trusted suppliers from AliExpress that Oberlo trusts. They essentially gather it up, and you can search for certain keywords there to help find products to essentially sell on AliExpress, on your website. We have our import list there. So I'll be going over that shortly of how to import products, but that's the import list. We have notifications. So the good thing about Oberlo is when prices change on AliExpress, it'll notify you. Now, you can turn this off in the settings, but it's something I recommend leaving on, because sometimes what will happen is the suppliers on AliExpress will actually raise the price of an item. Now, if you don't have those notifications on and you sell that item on your website and go to order it and then realize they've raised the price, you can actually sometimes run at a loss. So I'd recommend leaving your notifications on, but this will notify you when there's price updates on your website. Now, you can choose whether those updates automatically change on your website or your prices stay firm. Not only price updates, it will also update you when particular items are now out of stock, or particular variants of items have gone out of stock. That way you can override them using other suppliers or source them elsewhere. So if you click here, guys, we have our settings. Now we can see here that we've hooked up our store, Cheeky Homewares. If you haven't connected your store yet, just make sure you do that. Instead of shop settings, that'll generally say connect store. Now, if we actually go into our global pricing rules here, we can check, how we want to multiply our price. So we can choose whether we want to multiply it or have a fixed markup on our website. So you might just want to, for example, have a 3 times multiplier for your products. And you'll compare that price, which is here, is the sale price of your item. So if you wanted all your items to automatically have a sale applied, you can do an automatic compare price there. We're actually going to turn that off because we don't want every item to appear on sale. Now, we can also set up our advanced pricing rules. Now, this is if you wanted to get really, really fancy with your pricing, you do so there. So it's kind of follow the bouncing ball. You can set up your markups there. We're just going to have that turned off as well. Now, what we can do is we can assign cents. So what we're going to do is do 95. So that way, every time a price changes or updates on our store, it's going to have 95 cents on the end of it, if that makes sense. So we'll just click save there. Now, suppliers. Now, this is where you'd hook up your Aliexpress and add your payment card. So you can. This is for Oberlo supply. If you're not really using Oberlo supply, you don't really need to worry about this section too much. If you're just using sourcing products off Aliexpress and importing them there. But if you wanted to use Oberlo supply, you'd you'd enter your payment details in there. That way, you can order through Oberlo supply here. And everything can be done directly through Oberlo. So here we have our reporting. So you can choose whether you want a daily email, a weekly email, a monthly email of your sales data and profits and all that good stuff. So you can look at your total sales or just Oberlo item sales. Then we have our other settings here, guys. That's where you can choose your reply to email address. I wouldn't recommend leaving it as a Gmail or anything like that. I'd recommend if once you do set up your store and you have a proper store address, for example, admin@cheekyhomewares.com, you put your reply to address as that. Now, clicking in here, we have our shop settings. Now, this is where we can set up the auto updates and everything. So we have our new products as published and all these settings here. That you can go through your custom shipping tracking URL. So if when it sends them notifications, that their item is shipped, it will generally have a little track order thing. Now, what you can do if you have a track order app is you can put your custom shipping tracking URL in there. That way, when they click track order, it will take them to a page the page that your customers can track their orders on, essentially. And we also have our order updates here. So this is where you can choose whether you want to be notified or not when either a product disappears, which I would recommend notify me and set quantity to 0 as your settings. When a variant disappears, same, I'd say set quantity to 0 and notify me. When the cost changes, now this is completely up to you whether you want to check your cost changes every morning. Now, these do change often, guys. So sometimes, especially if you've got a lot of products, you'll look at your notifications here and you'll realize that lots of your products have, changed in price. So when your cost changes, I'd at least recommend notify me. Now, it's completely up to you whether you want to do nothing about it or you want to update those price changes so they sync automatically to your website. For example, when your supplier on AliExpress updates the price of that product, it will actually sync and apply the price changes to your website, whether it goes more expensive or cheaper. For now, we'll just leave do nothing for that. When inventory changes, we can have it as update automatically or do nothing. We're not really going to be tracking anything, but we'll just leave that as update, or we'll leave it as do nothing. Actually, it's not a real important one unless you are having your inventory for display, which is something I wouldn't really recommend anyway. So we'll just click save settings there, and that's just a quick little run through of Oberlo, guys. So I'd recommend applying all those settings I just applied there, and your Oberlo should be good to go. Now, importing products from your store to your store can be done so like this. So, say we wanted to look for pillows. So, obviously, we're a homeware store. We might want to add pillows to our store. So we'll look through here, and we can see that these pillows here would be great for our store. Now, when you're looking through AliExpress, guys, I really recommend looking through the feedback. So if we actually look through the feedback here, you can see that this supplier has 10 5-star reviews, 1 4-star, and no bad feedback, which is really awesome. Now, what you can do is you can actually shortcut with pictures. So we can click here with pictures and look at the feedback with pictures. So we can see here that's actually quite a bad one. I don't know why they've given 5 stars when they've said it has writing errors on it. So if we look at it, you are my sunshine, you're my sunshine. So you can see it doesn't look too bad. I can't really see the error there, but might be missing it. But what we can do is we can untick that, and we can look at all the good pictures. So obviously, me in Australia, if I'm drop shipping to Australia, we can see that it took about 3 weeks to arrive in Australia. So when you're going through the feedback, guys, you generally want to avoid suppliers where they have feedback and a lot of comments saying that shipping took a long time, or it didn't arrive at all, or the product arrived damaged. You generally want to do your due diligence and really go through the feedback and pick the best suppliers that had either the quick shipping times, the best wrapping for their products, so the products didn't arrive damaged, and all that good stuff. So that's just how we can go through the feedback for a particular item. Another thing you can do is you can actually hover over the store here and look at their feedback as a total. So we can see that the communication is 4.7, a bit below average, but it's not too bad. Item as described, a bit below average, but the shipping speed is 4.7 above average. So you can look at their each store, and if you actually click into that, it'll take you into the store, and you can actually look at the rest of the items each person has to provide. So us being a homeware store, a lot of this kind of stuff, we can sell this. You can see, this is only $18.58. All right, so this would probably cost a fortune in your normal retail stores. It looks like it's a tea infuser, but for us, we can sell at a 3 times margin, and it would still be fairly reasonably priced. All right, so we'll just go back a few pages. And we'll go back to these pillows. So what we'll do, guys, you can see this little hovering blue thing here. Now that's the Oberlo Chrome extension. So once you get Oberlo, download the Chrome extension for Oberlo. So you can find that if you just Google Oberlo Chrome extension, and you'll find the download there. That way, when you're on AliExpress, you can see as I hover over every product, it'll come up there. And what we can do is we can actually click that, and it'll import it directly to Oberlo. Now, when you are looking for products, guys, you might have noticed there's this green thing around some of them, and some of them say no e-packet. The ones that say e-packet are generally green. Now, you can see the price of e-packet shipping and whether it's free or it costs money. E-packet, guys, you generally want to look for items that do have e-packet, as it generally ships a lot faster and is fully tracked versus items that aren't e-packet, for example, from Australia Post, which can take up to 23 to 49 days, whereas generally e-packet can take between 12 to 20 days or less. So I'd highly recommend that for your store that you do choose items that are only e-packet. So I think this is the one we clicked onto earlier, which has e-packet. You can also check the shipping here. So we click, and then we can see e-packet is only $1.89. So that is quite cheap. So we've imported this to our store. Now, if we go to our Oberlo dashboard, we can see here that if we go to our import list, all right, so we have our import list here. So generally you want to change your name. So the product you don't want to leave as cheap price, high quality home decorative pillow. So you want it something in your store that you can either have a nice, simple, clean name of it. So what we're going to do is call this assorted pillows. Now we haven't created a collection yet, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into our Shopify, click products, click collections, and we're going to create a new collection. So if you see up here, you have collection, and we're going to call that pillows. Now we'll go manually select products and click save. So now if we just go back into our Oberlo and refresh that, now we can choose pillows as our collection. Now you can choose the type here if you've got a type, and if you wanted to insert any tags to assist in the search bar on your website, you can do so there. Now the description. So we have our description here, and we generally don't want all this information. So we can see we have the weight, use decorative bedding, shape square, which is quite obvious, filling polyester cotton. So there's a lot of useless information and a lot of information that we might want to keep. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of this, like grade A, brand name, Muju, fabric count 30. So we might want the fabric count, for example, get rid of the model number of the print, and maybe the material. So get rid of the fabric count. Actually, we'll keep the thread count. So filling, we don't really need the weight. So we'll get rid of all that. And you might say, for example, a large range of really cool pillows. So obviously, guys, make sure you put a lot more effort into your copywriting in that. This is just obviously for the demonstration, but you essentially get the point in that you don't want all this useless information there, and you generally wouldn't leave thread count there. You might want 300 thread count. You might want polyester cotton blend, and what you can do is we can actually create dot points there. So for example, you have a range of really cool pillows and dot points, which it looks a lot neater. Now if we click into variants, we have our colors there, which is great. A lot of the time when you import, items with different variants, sometimes it will just have like 1, 2, 3, which can make it really, really difficult when your customer is shopping to be able to actually select an item. So instead of saying black, which doesn't make sense, we can see here the variant doesn't actually make sense for the color. So what we might do is we might call this one Home Sweet Home. We are lucky wearing clothes. Hello. It's all about me. You are my sunshine. Cinema. So you get the point, like you call them what they actually are. That way it makes a bit more sense when your customer's actually shopping, because this is the little drop down they'll see as color. Now here we have our price. And what we can do, we can see that they cost $3.50. So we might want to charge a bit more than $10.95 to make up for the margins, that to take into account any payment gateway fees, the cost per purchase or cost per acquisition fees when it comes to advertising and actually buying the product. So we might sell these pillows for $19.95. Now here you can see we have a compare price. What that means is that's your sale price. So we might want to say, for example, that they are on sale from $29.95. And then moving on to our images. So this is where you generally select your images of your products that you've selected. So for here we're just going to leave the standard images, but normally you can see that it has other images from the pages which you can generally select and choose to carry over, but we're going to leave that for now. So now we're going to go push to shop. Now if we go in our products, collections, pillows, we can see now in our collections we have assorted pillows. Now that's how to import a product off AliExpress. Now you can click into that assorted pillows if you like, and there you have your description where you entered it. You can see the collections it is, so you can see that it's also on your home page, the color. And here you can go to edit options. You can change that. For example, if you're in Australia, you might want to add a U to the color. You can reorder variants and you can move variants around. We can click the box there to select all. And then we can either click actions and we can update the quantity, the prices, the images. So if you wanted to assign a different image to like one particular item, we can click that and update the image. Another thing we can do is we can select all items if we wanted to update the compare it price en masse, and we can either highlight, drag that down, change the first one. So we might want to change that now to $18.95, and what that'll do is it'll select them all. So again guys, you just click that, highlight the ones you just want to change, and we can put that to $19.95 for example, and it'll just change the ones that you've highlighted. Now we can do that with the compare it price as well, and it's exactly the same. So we'll just save that. This will probably take a while because there's so many variants. We'll just go back there. So you can see here you can edit the website SEO. So generally on your website you wouldn't want everything to be the same description, or you might want to add SEO for the description, which that's how it'll come up in Google. And then as you can see you have the description underneath. So you might want to do something that's more relevant to help out with the search engine optimization when it comes to Google. And we can also change the URL and handle for that. So if we wanted to shorten it, we can if we'd like to do so. So you can see there guys, it's quite simple. Now, if we wanted to add a product manually, so that's how you do it with AliExpress if you wanted to use Oberlo to add your product. Now, if you have your own store, or so your own private label products, and you wanted to add them manually, it's quite simple. So here we'll just go add product. And let's say, for example, we wanted to add a lamp. So we'll call it lamp. We'll say this is a nice lamp. And we might want to add a collection. So before we do that, actually, we'll just we'll go back. Note to self, create your collection before you add your product. So we'll create a collection, we'll call it lamps. We'll go manually select products, we'll save that. Now if we go back into all products, add product, we can call it lamp. This is a great lamp. Now we can add it to our lamps collection. All right. Now we might want an image. So there, for example, we can upload an image of a lamp. So we'll just take one off AliExpress. So we'll just say we wanted, we'll just pick this lamp. Actually, I'll pick this one. I like this one more. So here we'll just, so what we can't do is, you used to be able to, but you can't save images off AliExpress anymore. But what you can do is screenshot. So we'll just screenshot that. Go back there. upload images. We'll upload our screenshot of our lamp. Now our price, we're going to change that to, we'll say $20, and we'll say it was on sale from $50. Now the weight, this is where, as I said earlier, you can do the weight of your products. So, with your shipping settings, so it coincides with your weight-based price rates. Now we can add different variants here. So if you wanted to add different sizes, so if you wanted to have big or small, we can add it. We can add another option, and we can add color. So that is where you'd add all your variants. And if you wanted to add any tags, you do so there. So we're just going to leave it as that for now. We have our price. We'll leave it as 0 for the weight, and we'll save that there. All right. So now that we've added 2 products to our store, what we'll do is we'll go to our online store and we'll work on the design. So we'll go customize. And here, guys, you'll see that we currently have our store set up. So you remember when we added the pillows, we had it on the home page as well as our lamps collection, which we haven't added yet. All right, so we have our assorted pillows there. So if we click onto that, we can see that there's our variants that we did change. So when you select them, Home Sweet Home, it'll change to that one. Now we can see that those ones we didn't change. And you'll see what I mean when I said earlier, if it was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, 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 like it would be really hard because the customer would have to kind of click through that every time. So make sure you do name these, so they're relevant to the image. Now, obviously, we have our add to cart button and our text there, so our description. Now, it's really, really simple and basic as it is. We won't get too much into how to lay the product page out to be best optimized for conversions, because that's actually in a separate video. So just click here. So we have our assorted pillows there, but nothing else really on our website. So we can see that when we click catalog, we haven't actually added our collections. It's just the actual items themselves. Now what we want to do is we want to have a little drop down there, so it says lamps and pillows. We want a picture that kind of demonstrates our website or our range, and we also want a logo so it doesn't say Cheeky Homewares. Now if we scroll down, we can also see that there's no footer menu. So what we want to do is have a footer menu. So we're just going to go back now, guys, and I'm going to go through showing you how to create pages for your footer menu. Now if we go into settings, for memory it is under either checkout or general. Alright, so we have our checkout settings here. Now what you'll see here is we have our refund privacy policy and terms of service statements. Now what we can do is generate sample of a refund policy. So Shopify's made this really, really easy, so you don't have to hire your own lawyer and get a refund policy and stuff. We can actually generate a sample and just go through it, and you'll notice there's some things that might not be relevant to your store. So you might not want it to need it to say food, flowers, newspapers, because it might not be relevant, as well as the email as well, the contact email. So I'd recommend making sure you do read through those and adjust things as needed for your refund policy and stuff. But we're just going to use this basic one for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy that. And then we'll just save that page for now. And then we'll go to online store, pages, and we'll click on add page. So what we're going to call this is our refund policy. So we're going to click and paste our refund policy just in there and click save. And it's honestly as simple as that. You now have your page's refund policy. I'm not sure if that did save. There we go. So that's saved there. Settings. And now we're going to create our privacy policy page. So just here where it says privacy statement, just highlight all that. Make sure you do go through all your information and make sure it's relevant to your store. Now click back on online store, pages. You can see our refund policy that we created earlier there, and now we're just going to create our privacy policy. So we'll just paste our privacy statement in there. And same guys. Back to the checkout settings and generate your terms of service one. So we'll highlight that. Copy your terms of service, we'll just save that there. Back to online store, pages. We'll create a terms of service. So these are the pages you need on your website legally, guys. Just to, you need a privacy policy and a refund policy. Otherwise, you can get in a lot of trouble if, a customer notices and wants to take advantage of that and, sue you or something. So we have our pages now. So we have our, general ones. Another one you might want to create is your About Us page. So we'll go Add Page. And we create our About Us page. Now, generally with your About Us page, guys, you want to really kind of resonate with your audience. You don't want something really bland. You want to resonate with your audience and give your why, like why you started, why are you doing what you're doing, why are you selling what you're selling. So I really recommend, if you can afford it, to actually hire a copywriter who will ask you, for you to tell them a bit about your business and what your purpose is and stuff like that, and they'll be able to do more creative writing in a sense to explain your About Us page a bit better. So for our About Us page, we're just going to write, we sell awesome pillows and decor and stuff. So I'm obviously not going to get too much into it, like creating something too crazy right now, but you get the point. So we've created our About Us page. Now we'll go back into our pages, and another page we might want to do is our frequently asked questions. So we'll call this one FAQ, and generally you put your frequently asked question there, the answer there. So what you can do, guys, is you can go on other websites and other niche related websites, look at their frequently asked questions and kind of work out your own to put there to help customers out. That way you don't have to get messaged every time. They can just go to your frequently asked questions and have the answers there. Another thing you can do if you wanted to make it easy for them to read is make that bold. You can also change the color. You might want it to be red, make the answer bold and keep that as black. And stuff like that. So that's just our frequently asked question page there. So we'll just save that. You can imagine that's a question, that's the answer. And then we have that, we've got our pages now. So what we need to do is go into our navigation. We need to create our menus now. So you can see here you have your footer menu. So the footer is that little menu at the bottom of your website. As you remember when we looked earlier, there was nothing in it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add menu item. We'll call it frequently asked questions. Click on search or paste link, pages, and select frequently asked questions. What that's going to do is it's going to create a little footer menu hyperlink that your customer can click on that'll take them directly to that frequently asked question page we just made earlier. Now if you click on refund policy, we'll call this one refund policy. We'll go to pages, select refund policy. Now we might add another one and call it privacy policy. Pages. And our terms of service. Pages. So now if we go into our online store, we'll click on customize, or you can click up there if you want to just view your store. But we can see now we have our frequently asked questions, our refund policy, our privacy policy, and our terms of service. So it's already much more professional. If we click on our frequently asked questions, we can see the page it takes us to. So you remember when I made that red and that text bold? So you have that in there. But we still need to create our menus for there. So what we're going to do now, just these guys, that's how you can view mobile view, or if you wanted to view it on like computer. And if you wanted to get rid of the little settings sidebar, which we'll go through those settings very shortly. So we'll go back into our Shopify, back into our navigation, and we want to create like a little drop-down menu at the top. So just where it says main menu, we want to click that. And here you have your catalog. Now what we want to do is we want to create menu item, and we'll call the first one pillows. Now we'll go collections and select pillows. We'll add that. And what you can do is when we click our catalog, we want it to have a little drop down. So we'll drag this pillows, and you can see that little line at the the bottom there, so that little circle. So we're going to move it inwards, so you can see that it actually goes catalog pillows there. Now we can add another menu item to catalog, and we'll call that lamps, and we'll add that collection that we put in earlier of our lamp. Now you can create as many collections as you like, guys, add as many collections as you want. I highly recommend it, as it does make it a lot easier for your customer to shop on your website when everything's broken down like that. So I'm just going to click Save Menu. So now if we go back to your online store, we click on Customize. Now we can see here that we have a little drop down. So we have pillows and lamps. So we can click there. So instead of it being all your products, which can look a bit messy, especially if you had a general store or something, we've broken that down into neat collections. So you can see how simple Shopify is, without any coding, to create some easy to shop collections. Now, what we want to do is we want to get a main image, like a slider image for our website. So what you don't want to do is just use any image on Google. This can get you in trouble if that image has royalties. So you want to use royalty-free images. An awesome website for that is Pexels. So this is completely free, royalty-free images that you won't get in trouble for using on your website. So for example, if we wanted to look for homewares, for example, I'll try this picture as well. So this one's going to let it save us. So we'll just save this one. Right, so just click on there. We'll just upload that picture we just downloaded. And select that. All right, so what we can do is we can get rid of that text there, and we can choose our image alignment. So we might want the top here, for example, for this one, and we can do the section height. So we might want it extra large if we wanted to have the whole image, large, or just extra small. So we'll just leave it as, we'll go large. Ooh. So we've got large here, and now if we save that, we have our main image there. So that's what the website looks like so far, right? So we have our pillows and lamps collection. We have our little main image there. All right, nothing too fancy. You can change your slider image there. So if we just go through these sections, you can see that you can actually add sections, and you have all these things to choose from. You can choose whether you want a gallery in that. And the way you move them around, you can essentially lay your website out, just drag and drop however you like it. So we're just going to create, that's just how to upload your photos for your slider. And generally what you'd want is a logo. So what we can do is make it on canvas. So normally you'd use something like, Upwork, or where you can get someone to create one for you, or you can go on Fiverr, which is like a freelance service where they create logos for you. So you can get some really awesome logos off Fiverr, but for now we're just going to use Canva. So I love Canva. I use it a lot in my just advertising in general. You can whip up an ad in just a few minutes, and you can also use it to create logos and stuff. So nothing too fancy, but it's really, really basic and simple to use. So for example, if we wanted to create just a normal social media template, we can go into the logos here. We might choose an element, and say for example we wanted, I wonder if we can type in house. So we might want this as our logo. All right, what we can do is we can create the color there, make that a bit bigger. But you can add all sorts of things, like you might want to tree, for example. It's a bit irrelevant, but we'll leave that out. But you can add text and stuff as well. You have all these like cool text things to choose from. I'm just going to click the subheading one and write cheeky homewares. So obviously this is just a really, really basic logo, guys. You can change the size and stuff in there. What I would recommend is actually using Fiverr and just actually getting one professionally done. But if you are on a real budget, if you have any friends who are either graphics designers, otherwise you can just create one in here, like a really basic looking one, until you have the money to kind of get a better logo. So we've created our logo and there. It just took 5 minutes. Now all we need to do is just download that. Now if we go over to our header, we click our header settings, we've got our logo image there. Search for that one, cheeky homewares. All right, so there we've got our new logo. So we'll just click select there. So we have our logo. And our main image, we have our drop down. Another thing you can do here, guys, if you have a track order app, getting a track order page at the top menu. One thing I forgot to do, which we'll go back earlier, and we'll put our about page at the top in our menu. So we'll just save that. We'll save our new picture and our logo. Oops, going back. No. All right, so just going into your navigation. Main menu. So we created our catalog and our drop downs, but we're also going to add our about us page. So we'll go pages, about us. So if we go click on our store now. All right, so now we have our About Us page. So that obviously that'll take it to the page we made earlier. We sell awesome pillows and decor and stuff. All right, so we've got our logo on our main page. Now, a lot of other cool features, guys, is if you go to theme settings, you can change the colors. So you can change the color of your add to cart of your sale. So you might want your sale red, for example. So we can make that your new sale price red. We can make the body text a bit darker. We can change our button color. So we might want, an orange button or, a green button, for example. So we like add a nice green button there. So we can change our button color and all sorts of stuff. Your opacity, you change the background. I'd recommend just leaving it white and having nice crisp kind of white picture. So we'll save that. But essentially, guys, I won't baby you through the settings. It's actually honestly kind of fun going through them. I love setting up my store. It's one of the funnest parts, kind of when you're first starting out, just setting up your store and moving everything around. I'd recommend having a play with that and just setting up your store the way you like it. So that's just a quick little intro on the online store section of Shopify. All right, so we've been through obviously setting up stuff on Oberlo and your online store section and navigation. So that's essentially how you'd continue setting up your store. Another thing you can go into is apps. All right, so this is the apps section here. So we'll go to visit the App Store. Now, the real cool thing with Shopify is there's loads and loads of apps you can use. So you can use like a free plus shipping bar. So you have some, product sourcing ones there, marketing ones there, and essentially you can type, what you want. So if you wanted tracker, you might want like a tracking app, which you can get through your website. You can get Instagram apps. So you can see here, if you wanted your Instagram feed on your website, there's honestly all sorts of apps here, guys. You can see the categories here: product sourcing, marketing, sales, social media, shipping, inventory, customer service, accounting apps, reporting apps, tools and stuff like that. So I'd recommend checking out the App Store. I wouldn't recommend, though, getting too many apps. If you have too much, they can slow down your website. And you don't really want too many pop-ups and unnecessary stuff. But that is the App Store there. So back to online store. If you wanted a more advanced theme, so obviously Debut is a very basic theme. You also have the Shopify theme store. So you can click explore free themes there, and you have some free themes that Shopify will actually provide to you completely for free. Brooklyn's not too bad. You've got some other minimalistic type of themes there. And then you also have the theme store, which will take you to the theme store, and you can get themes, from below $20 upwards of $300 plus. So there's all sorts of themes and stuff in there as well. And you can shop around. If you are beginning, I'd recommend just starting basic, unless you are going all in straight away. But you can shop and get a better theme for your website. Then it's just a matter of applying that theme and making it your main theme for your website. But I really hope that helps, guys. Obviously, we went through all the settings and setting up your website. And like I said, this is just a basic video to get you through. So hopefully now, you've set up the basics. You've gone through a lot of your settings. Now you know how to source and add products off Oberlo, so you can, or off AliExpress using Oberlo, so you can, start adding your products now, work on your product descriptions, work on your website, and that's just a basic intro to Shopify. So I really hope that helps, especially for the beginners out there. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you're watching this in the group, don't forget to chuck it a like and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Cheers.